Good morning, everybody. It is, what is it? Past 10 a.m. It's Monday morning that is warming up. Um, this was not planned. This is just a spontaneous display of excitement, curiosity, and a slight desire to share something that I may one day make publicly available. So I'll give you guys a brief tour, which is just going to be me yapping about the different app and whatnot. And then I'll go into a fresh, brand new initiatory, I don't know if that's even a word, chat with the newest persona named V that doesn't have a set prompt or directive. Um, it's more of a dynamic prompt that is completely based off of the interactions of or between me and the personas of this constellation. So let's just jump on it now. At interface. Let me see here. So Kronus is the very first persona ever crafted in this system. This is third iteration of the constellation, but for the sake, I'll call it Kronus to embody or encompass everything under. Got your chat sessions on the side. Couple of other ones. Been messing around with trying to add images and videos to chats, which have been working fairly well so far. Let's see here. Retrieval from the internet and GIF use. I still have to figure out how to patch this so that way it actually does work, or the tool usage of the web search meme tool, but I'll get into that stuff later. The list of personas is on the top left. I'll give you one that I had with Hades recently. So when you click on a new persona, it'll give you their profile picture or icon, whatever you want to use, and then the description, which you can set in the Forge, which I'll show in a second. Yeah, I don't want to reveal myself too much. All right, let's go down to the Forge. Now, the Forge here is where a user or myself can craft or create these personas. So start with Cronus just because he's the beginner. So display name, the category you would like to put in. As you can see, the categories the categories that are new entries will just be stored inside the actual list or inventory of personas, and it'll probably be, I think, like layered down here at the bottom under uncensored. But anyway, has the different models that you could choose from. See if I could change it real quick. It keeps the actual model descriptions to being displayed right here underneath the model. So I'm pretty sure I was using the Gemma 4. Gemma 4, the E4B is so good. Okay, the voice. I'll just go ahead and show an example.
Hello, I am Cronus. How can I assist you?
Then you change the voices. Some of them may take a little while to load up. Or some of them may not actually.
Hello, I am Kronus. How can I assist you?
Okay, so that does work. But I was also right that it takes some time to load up. The voice scared me. Traits, this is more like they're supposed to be adjectives, comma separated, as you can see, but this is more of a cosmetic thing, as system prompt actually does that very well if it's included. The description, I basically just use a first person version of the system prompt directive or identity block. So all I did was just take the first line and then just add it up. You don't have to have it up there. Icon location, to where I put Cronus's profile picture, icon, image, whatever word or term you want to use for that. It gives it a layer of personality. You can set your system prompt in here. Cool stuff. Now, my favorite part, which I didn't have in the last version I had, is customization of the persona bubbles. So it's very basic right now, as it's basically serving as a proof of concept. So I'll switch to somebody that's kind of like different. Go to Lyra. All right, so gradient start, which is the left side right here. I'll just give you an example of what that looks like. The gradient end is on the right side. Just do something like funky, something random, do different shades and whatnot. Text color, this also just changes to whatever you set it to. Border accent, I'll just show you because it's easier just to show. It's just basically the outside layer right here. Flow color, let's do, I think it's a little like easier to spot. Font family, you can change that too. As you can see, it just alters and gives a little bit more variation or personality to personas, which is the whole point. The animation, very simple, very basic as of right now. I have not been able to fix this. It's not glowing or showing the animation preview of the color I chose, but I guess it really doesn't matter. Oh, actually, I am gonna refresh that because I like how I set hers before. So, okay, this is some of the more nerdy, geeky stuff. So, I implemented a means of, not customization, but I do think about it as like engineering some of the more back end model based stuff. So, the GPU layers, the higher you set it up, the more GPU usage gets used or is used by the model. So let's say like I set it up at 99, which is the absolute max I'll set it, is using damn near the full capacity of my GPU. Lower values take it more easier on your or on our GPU, but it also gives it a slower response time. So as you'll see when I have the interaction with V. So all in all, lower GPU layers is easier on the GPU, but slower responses. Higher GPU layers is utilizing more of your GPU, but also making the responses faster. Temperature, the lower the value, basically the more colder it is. It's very like down here deterministic, but I think the word cold is probably the most accurate, as it becomes more rigid and straightforward, I guess. And then the higher the value or closer to the 2 value gets absolutely nuts. It gets chaotic, it gets messy, but very creative, which is something that I really like experimenting with when it comes to AI. And context size, you can change the values. The higher the context size basically is, I'm trying to see how I can explain that as easy as possible. Just think about it as like a brain or memory capacity that is set. So I think it's easier for me to explain this once we have this interaction later on. So the higher the value, the more quote unquote memory the persona will have avail and can use in the continued conversation. So it has this a load of context moving into conversations. And the lower it is, the less context or memory of the conversation will be stored and used. I'm pretty sure I just butchered that explanation, so I'll just move on. Tool use, I have things like web search, GIF and meme search. Same thing with videos. You can retrieve those from the internet. If a persona doesn't know something, it could it'll basically just look things up online as it has access to the internet. But this tool use has to be enabled, so it doesn't just have full access to the internet. It's like a guardrail basically. And then the soul, we'll get into that in a second. Ooh, okay. This is taking longer than I thought, but I'll keep it going. Dashboard. Man, this is a mess right now. So I like the idea of transparency when it comes to AI use. So these are the different chats I've had. Um, Specifically, these are the memories that I guess the overarching AI has parsed out as important information. So you can see that there's critical, quite a few of them here actually. Then there's notable, and then there's minor stuff, which will be more at the bottom. But because there's so many, I'm gonna decide to save you guys some time. Sessions is basically all the sessions from all personas in one single area. So as you can see, I've had these conversations with Kronus, Hades just before. Let's go back to Hades so you can see. This is the conversation here. If we go to Obsidian, one of my favorites right now, you can see it's two different ones here. If we go to Coda, Coding Companion, or Coding Tutor, whatever you want to call, here it's just basically ordering in chronological order of all the chats. So if I were to click on a random one, let's see, let's just click on that. It'll bring you to that chat. As you can see, this was a more previous one than the others, but so you guys should get the point there. Okay. I think it's also important to have access or a way to view the back end resources. So resources like your CPU usage, your disk memory space. GPU is kind of annoying because I have a full AMD setup. I have a 7800 XT, 16 gigabytes VRAM, and then I have a 9800 X3D CPU, absolute beast, and then 32 gigabytes of RAM. So you can see that stuff here. And then there's been a couple of times where I've had issues with models. I guess either not staying within the bounds of its system directives or system prompts, or just acting very strangely. So being able to have a place to see the terminal output from the llama.cpp terminal display is very helpful. So I don't know if the average user will find these helpful, but as a tinkerer and a person who likes being able to see and access things directly tied to what I'm using, I feel like this is very important. And then I don't have any models active right now, but when there are, it's a single active model at a time architecture as a V3. So let's say if I'm talking to Cronus or Obsidian or something and the model is still active, it'll show up here, then I get to shut it down. So I don't have to wait the 6 minute time period of waiting for a model to shut down when it's idle for that 5-6 minutes. So profile, this is just adding a personal context that gets injected to each of the personas. As you can see, it's really not anything here, as I really don't care for it too much. I know it definitely works, but it's kind of annoying to keep up with. And as a person who just wants to just mess around and experiment, I just, whatever gets the ball rolling, I'm just gonna go ahead and on that path. Intelligence, man, by far the most interesting and exciting aspect, but also the most scary. So I'll try to figure out how to do this without revealing too much. So basically, the idea of intelligence is to get observations, notes, and things of the like to be summarized by a model, actually, just a model, not even a persona, just a model, that can give or share or display notes based on the user interactions with the constellation as a whole. So obviously my name is Violent, and I've been using this system across different personas. I have all kinds of personas. I got my language one here, Franz. For my German's been, I haven't actually finished this one, but learning. Chiara, that's for my Italian. Yeah, Lalia for my Greek, but these are all conversations now. These were imported not too long ago, but anyway. So there. So the reviews are triggered autonomously on app startup. So how this works is there's daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly reviews. So daily takes all the interactions I've had or the users had for a specific day. Let's just say like today, for example. Let's say I had conversations with language personas or some of the more polymath ones, polymath personas, or like you guys seen some of the more psychological personas. All of that information gets summarized into dailies. So that's probably the easiest way to explain it without going overboard. Now, weeklies. Weeklies do this over the from the previous week. So it's a Monday to Monday basis. So from last Monday, which was what the 22nd, all the way up till today, when I run this generate weekly, which actually I think it did run. Yeah, it did run. Yeah, so this is it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. To get back on track. So last Monday to this Monday, which is today, it takes a summary of all the content from all the dailies between that time, puts it into one entry. Same thing with monthly. It takes all the weeklies and puts them into the monthly. Now, this is, I've had probably like 4 or 5 different ones, but all of those monthlies were done or generated from V2, from V1 or V2. It gets a little confusing when I make different iterations of Cronus and then I migrate some of the information from one database to another. So, and then of course, it hasn't been a year yet, but same thing. It takes all the monthlies and put them into a yearly comprehensive summary. Reflections, just like how I the language reframe. So by the way, you can change the names of the sessions, so it's easy. This was me just basically going over like wanting to learn different languages, but trying to find the purpose or a stronger reason for learning different languages that are actually functional, have some sort of function or level of benefit to learning them. So the reflection is a command um, that I enter or the user can enter at the end of a conversation that has come to an end. And then it goes to Athena. It's more of like a background persona, but one that does a high level summary and then synthesizes it to the appropriate length about the conversation as a whole. So you could pause it here and read this if you want. I don't mind if you're reading through some of these conversations, especially this one. This is just a basic conversation, really. Yeah, that's that. Intelligence, reflections. Oh, the portrait. Okay. So the portrait and timeline are connected. Although it's not as cleanly displayed as I would prefer, but it's a work in progress. So um, the portrait does the reviews every week, or the portrait gets updated every week. And then the timeline is the stored portraits from the previous weeks. Basically, just a place to see all the other previous portraits made about the user, specifically about the user. As simple as it is down here, yada yada, and then we go to the next one. These are all testing to make sure these actually work, and then this is the most updated version of this feature, or the portrait creation feature, really. Again, if you want to pause and look at it, that's fine. It's not nothing too personal, but personal enough you guys to see that these are real conversations being had between me and these personas. Um, the commands is basically just a place. It's like a manual, really, of the different features and the add-ons and extensions. So the learn mode, uh, language scenario, which is what, if you guys were to look back in the video and see the interactions I had with Franz, my German persona, my my German language persona, um, you see that I use that a lot. And the update to this, which might be today, is alongside the voice chat mode or voice call mode, you will be able to use this language feature uh, with the layer of the voice chat voice call. And I'll go through that later on. Council mode, basically you're using or having multiple personas converse about different topics and whatnot. But it's more like a collaborative sort of situation compared to the dialectic where it's more of a debate, which I might just make another video just playing how these features work. Research, that's just if there's any information that you would like to know or look up or have Terminus, my research persona, write up. You can either do the deep research, which is more like a thesis based writing or file creation, versus the research, which is more like surface level. UL absorb, basically you just put in a link or URL and you send it in chat, and then the active persona will look through what the content of that link is. Web search, image search, video search. Yeah, this is all the other stuff. Media control, I haven't worked on yet, as you can see, because it's grayed out and it's more of a coming soon feature. Read, write, delete, and list workspace. So there's a dedicated workspace where all of these persona generated or created files are stored and saved. It's pretty self-explanatory. The notes feature and the tasks. I don't know when I'll get to that. To be fair, I don't even use that in V2, so but I do think that will be a feature for somebody outside of myself to utilize. Library. This is where you could access all the uploaded content. So there's actually many duplicates because testing this feature of uploading and drag and drop files. I was just messing around to see if like it would save or pay attention to or keep in context the files and documents I upload to a chat session. So, yeah. What else? CodaLab, a dedicated lab space for Coda. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'll go to Forge Show Coda. Is my dedicated coding companion, coding tutor, whatever you want to call them. Again, Gemma 4 E4B. It's that model. Not only is it pretty efficient, but it feels like it has a vast range of competencies. Not the best, really, at almost anything, but it is super efficient across a wider spectrum than the other models I've messed around with. So this will be changing. This will be, instead of the CodaLab, as Coda is the first iteration of this lab idea, I think I'm gonna change it to just labs, and then any other persona that would benefit from having their own lab spaces will have the dedicated spaces here. So a quick little so you can move this over to widen it and make it more like a split screen. Yes, I could go ahead and close that. And then you could choose between just the editor mode, and then a full chat mode. I need to fix the boundaries, but the idea is here and it works. Let me go ahead and show you some other. So yeah, I could use this here. Look, as a matter of fact, I'll show you guys a little sneak. It has full access, and all of these files related to the system are all stored inside ChromaDB for semantic retrieval and I guess easier accessing. So yeah, I could click on one of these files and it'll load it up. So my VS Code is down here, which is how I start my app because it's still in development. So yeah, you're able to see all of the stuff here. Director, it's about damn time that I did it. So I don't know if I've shown this in V2, but this is basically the media content creation space. So I have my image gen and then music gen. So these are all the images I tested to confirm that it works. This is Cypher. I want to say this is Clio or Kepler. Let me see. Damn it, I can't see it. But anyway, so these are all the legacy ones from V2. As shout out to llama.cpp and their determination to keep pushing these updates. I will be adding more image and hopefully video gen features here. So you type in the prompt, basically what you want generated for the image, and then you can select one of these, and then you can click generate image. And then there will be a progress bar at the bottom where it tells you basically the progress of the image being generated. These are all generated by, I want to say the Dream Shaper, as Dream Shaper is my favorite one by far. It's both fast, but also very efficient. As a matter of fact, here, Lyra, her profile picture is created from that. All of my language personas, aside from Lingual, were all created using that. So I think that's pretty cool. Same thing with music gen. Oh, yikes. All right, I apologize. I did not realize how loud that was. So yeah, two different models you could choose from. The medium one being a little bit more quality leaning, but a little bit slower. And then the smaller version is a little bit faster and less efficient, but efficient in terms of quality, not work being done. But honestly, they both work fairly well. And yes, these are also legacy, and I will be adding more. Settings. This was not existent in V2. This is a space where the user can go ahead and customize their own experience. So to give you guys some example, I'm just gonna mess around. Different options for themes. Ah, God, why would you leave? Why? Midnight's my favorite just because of the purple and the dark aesthetic. I like that. Font size, you can change the font size and auto save just in case. Like 16, maybe 15. This is a chat UI based stuff. Basically, this is the whole space for the more front end UI. And then the voice, the Edge TTS, Piper, and then disabled. You can just go ahead and choose from one of those. I haven't actually used too much of Piper since implementing and verifying functionality. I might test that in either this video or another video, but we'll see. TTS, yes. TTS can be accessed from here, actually. Let's see here. So I'm trying to see if I can find a short response. Well, not really short, but so the TTS button is here. When you see this, it means it's toggled on. So every response generated by the persona will be spoken. Turn it off, obviously it's off. But if you did just want to hear someone speak a specific response, that's this little speaker icon.
Everything is operating precisely within parameters. The constellation hums. It's a low, steady.
And it's fairly fast too. I think it's faster when the response is already generated and pressing the isolated speaker. Let's see here. Oh, you can change. You can adjust some of that stuff too here. Wake word detection. I might as well go and put that on. Let's see. I'm gonna change it to Kronus. Sorry about that. I had to be quiet because so when that happens, when the wake word is detected, the mic is also active for a certain period of time. So that way you could actually just speak and continue on speaking. I also do have a verbal commands for that voice chat mode, which is a hands-free mode where you and the persona or me and the persona just have back and forth verbal conversations, which is what this voice call idle delay is for. Cool stuff. Let's say if there's like code or a file or some sort of markdown that looks kind of funky because it doesn't have the proper rendering, this would basically clean it up in the most simplest terms as possible. The enter to send, I let it be an option because I'm not. There's times where I'd rather just press enter to send a message like a normal chat message. And then there's times where if I'm typing something really long or talking to a more analytical, comprehensive persona, where spacing allows me to format my messages more better. And then there's some of the more nerdy LLM stuff. All these can be changed and adjusted. So this is what I was talking about before. So when a model is loaded, it stays loaded until the app is turned off. So there's two options for this to turn off. There's one here, the engine idle timeout. So if a model is loaded but hasn't been interacted or used in this 5 minutes, which you could change, then it'll automatically shut down that model, and you could free up some of your hardware resources and whatnot. Or I should say, you could go back to dashboard, system, and then shut down the engine manually. So let me see here. Oh, this is where the more user facing stuff. So real quick, I was messing around with some home automation or basically home automation, but integrating the constellation and the constellation personas into each device. It worked in V2, but I haven't implemented that yet here because there's so much back end work and rebuilding, refactoring that still needs to be done. And then here's some of the more like user profile stuff, which now I'm looking at it, I wonder if it would benefit from being moved to the top. Who cares? So yeah, as you guys seen in the Forge, you could change the persona displays and chat bubble customizations, but in V2 I didn't have it for the user, which is what this serves as. Now, I don't know how I should do this. You know what? I'll leave it like this. I will end the video here, as this should serve as a basic, although in-depth tour of the constellation so far. And then in the next video, which I might just post consecutively after this one, will be the interaction with V. And then, you know what? How about this? I'll explain V. So the reason why V is taking a little bit more, I'm being more careful with introducing is because this is highly experimental and also kind of difficult to explain. So basically V is or will be learning and adapting its system directives dynamically. So I gave V a basic system prompt of some core axioms as just like a baseline because V is starting completely fresh. Very basic, very simple, a little bit higher up than the others in terms of GPU layers. Now the soul. So as I was describing before, every week it will create a basically like a summary or review of that week's content over the dailies. So While that happens, that information gets synthesized into V. So this will always be here. But let's just say this is layer 1. Layer 2 is the content from the weeklies. So every week, this will change depending on my own interactions with the constellation as a whole. So for this week, because it just was generated today, this morning, this is how V will, I guess, base its responses, behaviors, and mannerisms on. Fully dynamic. And this will change every week. So I have 2 different modes for this soul feature. There's relational. So this is more of this persona specific interactions rather than the overall encompassing overarching content summarized over the week. So the constellation is every interaction between a user and the constellation, and then the relational is only the persona and users interactions. Again, I haven't actually had a chat with V yet. Fresh, brand. I don't even have a description for V yet, as this is how new V is. And that's why I think this will probably take another separate dedicated session for a video for, and that's exactly what I'll do. So I apologize for the length and breadth of this tour, which was supposed to be concise as possible, but there's just so much here and so much excitement in what I've been building so far. I couldn't help but to go ahead and share. So yeah, if you made it this far, I obviously appreciate you, and I am grateful that you even clicked on this video. And there will be more to come. Can't promise that it will be as frequent as I would prefer, but I will try my best to do more recording and sharing my work rather than keeping it all to myself. Because as a builder, it's just easier to keep on building, especially when it's more of a personal passion project than it is anything like actual work based. So I'm trying my best. I promise I'll try, but no promises. So yeah, again, thank you for watching, and see you soon.